In 90 seconds, you'll be wearing these handcuffs, Sheriff. Jack Richard's movie begins with a small crowd of people gathered around a restaurant in the city. The police arrive and find 4 men on the ground. One of them tells the police that a man in the restaurant is the one who beat them all. Within seconds, Sheriff Redmond and his deputy entered the restaurant to find Jack Richard sitting on his face with stains of blood. Sheriff Hood ordered his deputy to arrest Richard. But Richard said in 90 seconds the phone would ring and they'd have Wood arrested and put on handcuffs on his way to jail for kidnapping and selling illegal immigrants on military soil. The phone rings and the sheriff answers Wood. Seconds later, the military police come and arrest Wood. Later, Richard speaks on the phone with Susan Turner, who helped him arrest Wood in addition to helping him with other cases. Richard and Susan agreed to meet at his old office. At the end of the week, Officer Richard returned to his military headquarters, and after his return, he met his colleague Susan, who was his constant companion in his war against organized crime and dangerous gangs. He discovers that she is imprisoned and accused of spying and killing 2 soldiers in Afghanistan, so Richard meets the lawyer who was appointed to defend Susan, and the lawyer tells him that there is evidence confirming her involvement in killing the 2 soldiers, but Richard is not convinced of all this. Richard then discovers that there is a lineage suit filed against him by a girl named Samantha, who says that he is her biological father from her mother, who works in prostitution, named Candace Dayton. Richard is charged in the case of his murder, and he is also imprisoned next to Susan, so that they are both behind bars. Inside the prison, a paid killer tries to kill Susan, but Richard frees himself from captivity and saves Susan, and they flee together to the house of an officer called Morgan. This officer was responsible for Susan, but they discover his involvement in the conspiracy against them. They also discover that Samantha is being watched and is being used to put pressure on Richard. Indeed, they find her nanny murdered while Samantha is hiding, but they find her and take her to an old school to hide from sight. During their escape, they discover that her phone is monitored, so they get rid of it and head to another place. Richard tries to find the only witness to the murder of the 2 soldiers accused of killing his girlfriend, Susan, and he is called Daniel. Indeed, Richard finds him and asks the great leader Anthony to provide a safe way to transfer the witness who acquits his girlfriend Susan, but during the transfer, a professional assassin kills Daniel, and Richard discovers that this killer deals with the Parascura organization. It is one of the famous gangs, and the leader of that organization issues orders to kill Samantha as well, and before Daniel dies, he tells Jack that a truck of illegal weapons has arrived on a plane belonging to Officer James, so they intercept the plane and confront James' men accused of corrupt deals. But when the weapons are revealed, he finds that they are non-violating weapons and their papers are seized, and Susan's accusation is proven by James and his men. During her arrest, Richard goes and dismantles some weapons and finds drugs inside and displays them in front of everyone. Thus, everything becomes clear that James and his men are behind everything that happened, and that they set up Susan and pin these charges on her because she is investigating about their illegal activities. But in the end, with Richard's help, Susan is acquitted, and James and his men are arrested. Moments after James' arrest, Richard receives a call from the hunter saying that he will go after Samantha. After she called room service, they took over the hotel room phone. Richard and Susan run to the hotel to rescue Samantha. Samantha saw the fisherman and his friends through the window of her room, so she ran away from the hotel. Samantha ran away in the crowd who was under the hotel because of the Halloween party. But the hunters saw her and spotted her on the street at the same time Richard and Susan were trying to catch up with them. Richard managed to kill 2 members of the hunter's gang before he confronted him on the roof. The hunter grabs Samantha and threatens to kill Richard. Richard dropped his weapon on the ground and kicked it at the hunter, giving Samantha the opportunity to snatch the hunter's gun from his hand. Because Richard had taught her how to defend herself before, Samantha was able to pull Richard's trick, allowing him to jump on him and knock him off the roof. After fighting for a long time, Richard succeeded in breaking his neck and throwing him from another ledge. At last Susan is restored to her old position and Richard promises to meet with him. Soon, in addition to preparing dinner for him, Samantha met Richard at the restaurant after a short time, and Richard was ready to find out if Samantha was his daughter or not. But in the end it turned out that Samantha was not his real daughter because he never recognized her mother at a later time. Samantha called Richard crying in his lap. Samantha withdrew her hand from Richard and set up to put a mobile phone in his pocket without him feeling it. At the end of the film ends with Richard receiving a message from Samantha saying, "Do you miss him?" He smiles and puts out his thumb,